So the next principle we want to talk about today is individuality. I think we're told from a very early age that we are all individuals, and yet for some reason when we get into the fitness and wellness realm, we tend to be lumped into the group with everybody else, the one-size-fits-all type exercise. So as far as exercise, conditioning, and fitness, the idea of individuality goes into the components of a program, the frequency, the intensity, the type of the program or type of exercise, the amount of time you spend doing each exercise, the work-to-rest ratios, and the most important part is where each individual person is starting. You'll see a lot of talk about the type and intensity of the exercise. And there's all these programs out there that are very high intensity programs, which are great if you're already at that physical level. But if you're just starting into a program and you do a program that's too intense, you're just risking injury because your body's not able to adapt to it. As far as frequency, as we saw in the recommendations, 2 to 3 times a week will build strength and power in an adult. But you want 2 to 3 times a week of strength training. You want 2 to 3 times a week of flexibility. You also want to get in that cardiovascular work at least, a minimum of 2 to 3 times a week. So that's where you can get up to your 150 minutes of exercises with the different types of exercise. So again, the longer you do an exercise, as we saw in repetitions, you change from being a strength exercise to a strength endurance exercise, and then eventually just an endurance exercise. So, but the most important thing is it's based on where you're starting, and what your goals are. And also just that ability to accommodate. If you've been doing exercise and you've built up the ability to accommodate, then you can handle more exercise. So again, it's a good way to continue to grow and develop. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, goals are vital. Most of individuality, when you get down the road into the fitness world, we can tweak your program to meet your goals. The goal right now is just to increase the overall fitness level of the people in the program and your overall cardiovascular program. So we're trying to increase your cardiorespiratory state, which is just your heart and your lungs. We're trying to increase your strength and at the same time, fix postural issues, and then also flexibility. So it's flexibility, strength, endurance, all tied up into one as the main goal, just to get everybody healthier, get everybody more strength and better wellness. And then down the road, we've got programs up. We've got 9 levels of our program to continue to advance people towards their ultimate goals. So everybody's progressing along at their pace. Everybody's working through the phases, and we have more to go, but we still have to accommodate for each person in the program. So just to bring it back home, those big 3, right? Based on individual starting point, based on ability to accommodate and goals. Because as we said, we all know inherently that one size does not fit all, and it definitely doesn't. One size doesn't fit all when it comes to exercise programs. You can't take those really flexible people and have them doing a program of somebody that's really strong but not flexible. So we have to take into account our individuality as we're developing and building these programs. But again, that's how we built this program. We took the science and put it into play to know that we can build on what you have wherever your starting point is, and then over time continue to accommodate. And then realize that as we do it, as you do accommodate, we continue to make those adjustments. We'll talk about that later in another principle called progression, but don't get caught up in the biggest thing to remember in this part is when you're sitting there doing something and you see somebody else is better than you are at some segment of it, don't get worried about that, because everybody's at a different place. You'll see somebody that's really flexible and think, man, I wish I could be like that. And then you see somebody who's really strong and think, wow, I would like to be strong like that. There's very few people out there that have all of it, that are flexible and really strong and good cardio. So everybody's working on something, and everybody's working on something different based on what their goals are and what they want to do and accomplish. So again, as we've wrapped up the last several webinars, the only person you're destined to become is the person you decide to be. And I think more than anything, we'll click back through these, I think these are the two that really help bring that home, these individualities. Because when you look at how you can build a program, and you look at the frequency, type, intensity, time, work to rest ratios, that all comes into who you're working on becoming. So especially this, as we talked about with repetitions and stuff, and we'll talk about it later in a later webinar, but the work to rest ratios can actually change what effect you get. So work to rest ratios here are simply the amount of time you do the exercise and then the amount of time you rest. So if you do something and you do a 1-to-1 ratio, in other words, you do the exercise for 30 seconds, then you will actually, if you only rest 30 seconds and then you do the exercise again, you're actually working more on endurance. If it's a 1-to-3 or 1-to-5 work to rest ratio, in other words, you do 30 seconds of exercise and then you rest for 1.5 to 2 minutes, that's a strength work to rest ratio. If you do a 30-second movement or a 10-second movement and then rest for a minute, you're actually working more on power. So you can actually change the results of your exercise just by the work to rest ratio. Again, this is already built into your program as how we do the exercises, where we'll have you do an upper body exercise and then a lower body exercise. You're still moving, which keeps your heart rate up, but you're actually resting the other part of your body while you're working a different part of your body. So we've built that into the program just for efficiency's sake, so that you're not doing an exercise and then standing around waiting for the next exercise. It just elongates the program, and we know that time is very vital, so we don't want to extend the length of the time. The goal is to not only be effective, but also to be efficient. So that's where we know this, but we build it into the program by exercising one body part and then another body part. And then again, time, total time comes in, especially with cardiovascular type exercise, as you're building up longer. So think about this on your home programs. If you're going to do like building in more activity into your days when you're not at the gym, we got to figure out the frequency of it. How many days a week can we do it? What's the intensity going to be? And the intensity is really based on your heart rate and your heart rate training zones, which you guys should be learning at the clinics and as you do the cardiovascular. So you can do that even when you're at home if you're going to go out walking or jogging or running. I was just talking to one of our clients that does half marathons and building up to do, wants to build up more time. And I was even telling her about this, that well, instead of going out and trying to run the same state for miles and miles, you can get a better effect by following your heart rate and doing that 60% to 85% run. This is somebody who can run a half marathon, right? 13 miles. So still go out and run a mile hard and then jog, a light jog a couple miles, and then go do another one. So you can still, even up to very high levels of fitness, those rules and principles apply. But so whether you're jogging, walking, whatever you're biking, whatever your home activity is going to be, realize, follow your heart rate. How many days a week can you get it scheduled? decide on the type of it that you're going to do, and then how much time do you have available for it. It can be as little as 10 minutes and you can get positive effects. So if it's 10 minutes at a time, great, do 10 minutes at a time. If you can get 20 or 30 minutes in, that's awesome. But if you build up to it over time, don't just wait and see, or especially fall into the trap. One of my favorite quotes is from Lincoln that we can't put off tomorrow, like not today. So we got to someday start it. So we got to start that program. So the sooner we get started at the level we're at, and the sooner we start building up, the better for continuing to build and grow and accommodate. So build up slowly over time, whether you're at the gym or on your home exercise stuff, getting more activity. Remember this, I mean, you can go out and walk a little faster and then slow back down, or you can even jog a little bit and then walk as you're building up. It's one of the top ways of building up miles is actually to walk for the 2 to 3 minutes and then jog for a minute and then walk and then jog, and then you keep doing that, and it breaks it up, but it also builds up time. It also is more effective to building up your fitness levels. So just remember those big three. It's based on your individual starting point, it's based on your ability to accommodate, and your goals. The one size doesn't fit all. So with that, we're going to end a little early today. Congratulations on continuing to go through this program. You guys are doing awesome. We're coming down the home stretch now. We're into March, so a few more weeks left, and we'll wind this one up, but that doesn't mean we wind up your health and wellness program. That just means we wind up this challenge. So after that, there will be our continuation program, or we're already planning the next challenge after this one that'll start on April 7th. So the next challenge will start on April 7th for those of you that like the challenges, or you can just do our continuation program and continue to come in and work on your goals, work on where you're at in your process, and we'll continue to be there for you and support you as you go along. So remember the seminar next week, March 10th, and then again on April 21st. And then we're going to be having a big webinar for to announce the next challenge here within the next couple of weeks. So you'll be getting that information too. So let me take a quick look here. Is there any questions? Remember, it's over there on the right-hand side. If you have a question, go ahead and pop that in. Give me a second here. Awesome. Well, thank you guys all for being here today, and continue the hard work, continue the consistency. That's the big thing. To continue to get that accommodation, we have to consistently work out to get the accommodation part. So with that, I'd like to thank you all again for attending, and I will talk to you soon.